Sharon Abaud, immigration attorney in Los Angeles. I'm live today, here Tuesday, to answer all your immigration questions. For those of you who are new to this, I started this a few weeks ago. Every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I will be here live to answer all your immigration questions and help you out in any way I can here live. I do want to remind you of confidentiality issues. If you put out all of your information here, I cannot keep that confidential. That will not be privileged information because this is a public forum. So I really encourage you to ask me questions, but at the same time, honor your privacy. Make sure you don't put out too much information because that does not, first of all, make me your attorney, and second of all, you are in a public forum. I cannot protect your information that way. So again, I'm Sharon Abaud, immigration attorney here in Los Angeles, California. I'm going to be here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'm super excited. This is something new. And last week was a pretty good turnout. I'm hoping that more of you guys show up today and more the next week. So to get started, I'm going to remind you guys, if you haven't already, to like and follow my Facebook page, share. If you share, we're going to get this information out there and make sure people have a place to ask their questions. Karen, you're welcome. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to say hello to you, and I'm excited that you're here. I hope that you bring me some questions, and if not, I'm excited that you're here listening. So I'm here. I'm going to actually tune in. Perfect. I'm on mute because for some reason, I say this every week, I have an issue with the computer. It doesn't show me the comments, so I have to make sure that I'm looking at my phone to make sure that I'm caught up with you. So just a friendly reminder that when you do ask your questions, that you keep that information confidential. Your confidential information should stay confidential, and I can't protect your information if you put it out here in public. Just by asking me a question here does not make me your attorney. And again, you just want to protect your information. So make sure that all your questions, though important, make sure you don't, put out your personal information. I do have some questions that I have from last week that I want to pick up on. And if anyone has a question, I do give priority to my questions that are asked here on Facebook Live. So if I see a question pop up in the feed, I will go ahead and honor you and ask and give your question priority. These questions are coming from the recorded videos. So once that this video goes out, I get a lot of questions from all of you on the recorded videos. And so I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions here. But again, if you ask me a question on live, I will give you priority. So I have a question, and I don't have names. So this time someone prepared the questions for me. But they don't have names, so I apologize. But this person wants to know, she says, my question, can I enter again to the U.S.? I am here in the Philippines for about 7 months. My green card was approved last Christmas 2018. Excuse me, my green card will expire for 10 years. So ma'am, please answer me because I want to go back to the U.S. Okay, so this person had a green card. So she went to her green card interview or immigrant visa interview. She went to a U.S. embassy in the Philippines, and there they approved her application. It doesn't mean she has a green card yet, though, because she has not yet entered the U.S. So the way this works is when you have an immigrant visa interview abroad, you are granted, or you can be approved, but that does not make you a resident yet. You have to enter the United States. You have to pass inspection with a sealed envelope, and it's not until the officer at the point of entry stamps your passport and says, congratulations, it's not until that point that you are a resident. So this person who asked me the question, it sounds like you've never entered the U.S. since your application was approved. And that means that that means that you have not actually been a resident yet. And in fact, when you go, there's a chance that you will be denied at the point of entry, because my guess is that medical exam inside, it's been more than 6 months since you had that medical exam, and that medical exam is likely expired, so your immigrant visa might be expired. Folks, it's really, really, really important that when your immigrant visa is approved abroad, you must enter the US shortly after. You do not have a lot of time. You have 6 months, they say, from the date of entry, but really it's from the date of your medical exam. And by the time you get the medical exam, go to the interview, it's shorter than 6 months. So really, I do not recommend waiting a long time after your immigrant visa is approved abroad, because you may be denied. You may never get that immigrant visa or your green card, and that means that you might have to start the process all over again. And I know some of you guys have waited so long for this. Some of you, I know people who've waited over 20 years. People who are in the Mexico category who are being petitioned by their siblings, they're waiting over 20 years for an immigrant visa. And to mess that up because, you know, to go back on that because you took too long to get to the US, I mean, I know that can cause a lot of heartache. So folks, make sure once your immigrant visa gets approved abroad, you have to come to the US very quickly after. And I have a question here from Karen Correas. Hi, Karen. I have an approved I-130 through my mom. My priority date is May 2017. I have TPS now. I'm from El Salvador. My question is, can I obtain a work permit if they cancel TPS for El Salvador in January 2020? So we have different issues here. Karen, since you're not an immediate relative, first of all, I strongly recommend that you consult with an immigration attorney individually for your case. I do provide consultations online, by phone, or in person. You can call 310-803-3040. You can also go to my website. I'm going to actually put that into the description after this is over. It's www.aboudlegal.com/appointment, and you can schedule an appointment very easily there. And I'm going to tell you why I recommend that you consult with an immigration attorney. There's a lot of things a lot of other questions I would have to ask you. But first of all, it sounds like you are not an immediate relative because you're put in the sort of wait list. So there's a good chance that you might not be able to immigrate here in the United States. And if you're not eligible to file for that adjustment of status, I don't see if there's a way for you to get a work permit. I would need to know more. I would need to talk to you one-on-one and see what we could do for you. But just the fact of, you having an I-130 through your mom, it sounds like you haven't filed an adjustment. I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to file for an adjustment of status yet. And if you don't have the adjustment of status pending, then I wouldn't be able to get your work permit through that way. And then Karen's telling me she's in the US. Yes, I'm assuming, I assumed with that you were in the US. And the adjustment of status is the application, the immigrant visa application that you file inside the US. And when you qualify, not everyone qualifies for this. It's a common mistake that people apply for adjustment of status and they don't qualify, and then they're confused why they're denied, and it's because they never qualified. But when you qualify to apply for adjustment of status, you also qualify to have a work permit while your adjustment of status is pending. So that's why I asked you that about the work permit. It really depends, but it doesn't sound like it, unfortunately. But I would want to talk to you, individually to see if I could help you in some other way. And so I hope that helped, Karen, and thank you so much for your question. Let's see. I have another question from last week. I'm going to repeat this again because I see I have some new viewers. Thank you for being here. I want to remind you that I'm here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time to answer your immigration questions. I'm reading a list of questions I have from my recorded videos, people asking me things throughout the week. But if you have a question, you get the privilege because you're here live watching me. And so if you ask me a question, you type it in the little comment box and I see it, I will give your question priority over, over these recorded questions. So let's see if I have anything else. How old do you have to be to petition for your parent? Okay, so first of all, great question. So if you're a resident, you're not going to qualify to petition for your parent. So let's get that out of the way. You must be a U.S. citizen to petition for your parent. And you have to be 21 years old of age at least. The good news, though, is that if you are petitioning, if you're a U.S. citizen, petitioning for your parent, you are considered an immediate relative. And I know you guys just heard me talk to Karen about, being on the preference category or having to be on the wait list. The advantage of being an immediate relative is that you don't have to wait in line for your visa. Your visa becomes immediately available, which means that you will have to wait, but what you're waiting is just for the immigration processing time for them to process your case. You're not waiting for a visa to become available to you. It also has other privileges. You can file for adjustment of status if you qualify, and if you've had accumulated some time with unlawful presence in the United States, that would be waived if you're filing as an immediate relative. So there's a lot of advantages when you are considered an immediate relative, including being eligible to adjust status. Once you're out of status, you can adjust status. Reminder though, adjustment of status can be a little tricky. A lot of people make the mistake that they file for adjustment of status and they don't even qualify. And it can bring a lot of harsh consequences. Immigration is a really complex area of law that, there's a lot of nuances and people think it's just, oh, I'll just send this application. But they don't even realize that they don't qualify. And so this is why I strongly, strongly recommend that, if you're about to file this, that you see an immigration attorney and get legal help. Because there can be something that makes you ineligible for this and can cause a lot of heartache later. Okay. Okay, let's see. I have a question. Sorry, guys, I keep forgetting to look at my phone, and so my computer's not showing the questions through the phone. So I got a I-130 approved for my son. This is for Jenny. Hi, Jenny. I got a I-130 approved for my son. My wife is the petitioner, so is her stepson, but at the same time got the request for evidence. They are requesting for proof that my single name, which is on his birth certificate, and in mine and my now married name, we are the same person, and also they want proof of our marriage. We sent our marriage certificate. With the I-130, why are they asking for those again? Would be through Mexico. Okay, so it sounds like there's an I-130 and they keep asking you for the same evidence. So they're asking you, okay, it sounds like there are, I'm not sure I fully understood, but it sounds like they're asking you for more evidence for your, to prove that your marriage is legitimate. So they're asking to see, because it's through the stepson. I would certainly see an attorney for this to read the RFE specifically and make sure that there's nothing important you're missing. Again, I'm going to put my link I'm going to put my link here. I do offer appointments. It's really easy to schedule. 310-803-3040. You can also do it online, and I forgot to put the link, but I'm going to do that right after this so that you can click on the link and schedule the appointment if you choose to see me. But from what you're telling me, it sounds like they keep asking you for the same document. Am I correct? And they're asking you for why they're asking for those again, and you already sent them. I don't know. I would have to look at the packet and see what's going on. But it sounds like immigration might be doing. Maybe they made a mistake. I don't know. But I just to be sure, because once that RFE or request for evidence gets denied, you know, it's an uphill battle. So, and you may probably likely have to start all over. So I recommend that you just consult with an immigration attorney for this, and just make sure that that everything is in line, because it's sort of your last chance. So you really want to make sure you get this right. I know it's a long way. You've put in a lot of work for this, and it would be, you know, it sounds like they're just asking for some documents. You just really want to make sure they have it right. And I certainly, in your situation, would have an attorney read over it. Again, you can call me at 310-803-3040, and I will post my link later, but it is www.aboudlegal.com/appointment. And you can easily make an appointment to speak with me there. You can speak with me via Skype, phone, or in person. Okay, and I have another question from Karen. My other question is, can I still travel to El Salvador with an advanced parole, or you think it's a bad idea? I'm a little wary with advanced parole. You know, when you re-enter with advanced parole, you're still subject to reinspection. You know, it's not a guarantee. Having advanced parole gives you a good chance of being let back in, but there's absolutely no guarantee. And once you're left outside, there's not a lot an attorney would be able to do for you. And so it really is a question that you have to decide for yourself. You have to say, why am I going? Why do I want to go to, you know, take some cool pictures, you know, and travel? Or do I want to go because maybe there's a sick relative and it's really important? So you're the one, it's your case. You have to weigh out the benefit and the risk and see if it's worth it to you. My job's to tell you that there is a risk. You know, there's a good chance you'll be let in, but there's also a chance you can be left out. And if that happens, there's not much that an immigration attorney like me would be able to do. So I hope that answered your question. You're welcome, Jenny. You're welcome. And then I have a question from Karen. Oh, sorry, you're welcome, Karen. And Jenny has a question that you're a resident. Okay. I honestly, Jenny, I think that you should see me, just because I don't feel comfortable with what you're telling me to give you any advice. And I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, that I cannot give you, what I say here cannot be legal advice, because I'm not individually talking to you about your case. I'm not reading over your documents. I don't know anything personally. So what I say here is to be taken as general information. It's not to be taken as individual legal advice, because I cannot provide that here with the little information I know. It is not in-depth consultation like the ones I provide when you book an appointment. This is just general information. So in a situation like this, where you have a request for evidence and it's your last opportunity to prove to immigration that you qualify, you want to make sure you get that right. So if I were you, I would certainly, come see me and let's talk it over. And I have a question thank you, Jenny, for your questions, from Anita. Hi, I want to ask if I receive Medi-Cal and CalFresh, will it affect my husband, who is a legal resident, when he renews in 5 years? Great question. This is a popular question because I know it's all over the news, the public charge changes. So public charge is not something new. It's something that's always existed under the law. If someone finds you inadmissible, immigration can find you inadmissible if they find that you have been a public charge or are likely to become a public charge in the future. And if immigration and what's changed is not the law, what's changed is the definition of who is likely to become a public charge in the future. And there's more people who fall under that. So it's really important, Anita, that I get these kind of questions, because there is a lot of confusion as to who it affects and what benefits may affect you. But Anita, it sounds like your husband's already a legal resident, so this does not apply to him. It seems like, from what it appears, this is not something that will go toward good moral character for citizenship. This is going toward the grounds of public charge. So this is affecting people who are trying to become a resident, or people trying to get certain non-immigrant visas. But for the most part, if you are already a resident, this should not affect you. I hope this answered your question, Anita. Thank you for asking. And I have a question from Imran, permanent bar. Okay, so the permanent bar sometimes is used. The question is, can the permanent bar be lifted from someone who was deported 12 years ago? So what is the permanent bar? There can be many reasons for a permanent bar. For instance, if someone made a false claim to U.S. citizenship, that can be grounds of a permanent bar, and that one has no waiver. There can be a permanent bar that's not really a permanent bar. It just means you have to ask for a waiver after spending 10 years outside. In that case, it could be lifted. Imran, I would need to know more about your case. I would need to know, why you were given the permanent bar, and I would need to know specific facts of your case. Is not something that I can really answer for you specifically in this public forum. So again, this would be a situation that perhaps if you haven't already, maybe consult with an immigration attorney and see if you have future options. And I do provide legal consultations via Skype, phone, or in person. You can call 310-803-3040 or go online, www.aboudlegal.com/appointment. Jenny and Anita say thank you. Thank you for being here and watching. It was my pleasure to answer your questions. For those of you just joining, I will be here every Tuesday answering immigration questions live. I do read off a list of questions from my recorded videos, but I give priority to my people asking me questions here live. So if I see that I get another question, I will read from there, and then the recorded questions will have to be answered for next time. I do want to remind you all that to like my Facebook page and follow so you get notification every Tuesday when I'm on here live. If you prefer Spanish, I also provide a Spanish video every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And again, like my page and follow. That way you get a notification every time I'm here live. I also want to remind you to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here I give a lot of Q&As. Answer a lot of questions for you guys that have questions individually. But what I do differently on my YouTube channel is I go into depth about certain immigration topics. Those questions that you guys ask and that are bugging you, I talk about these in a lot more depth on my YouTube page. So it really provides a separate benefit, and I really think that you may benefit from those videos. Again, I do not give legal advice here. I cannot give you the same advice I would give you in a one-on-one consultation. This is to provide you general information to answer general questions about immigration law. And it really is to help educate our community. I know that the immigrant community has been going through so much these last couple years, and it's really important that we're all educated and that we know what opportunities we have. And so I ask that you guys stay informed and that you share this wealth of information for those who may benefit from this. And looks like we have time for a few more questions, so I'm going to answer a few more. Hi, Norma. So my husband sent the I-130 as a resident for me and my son almost 15 months ago, and he gets his citizenship in May this year. We're waiting response from the approval, but I'm a little concerned about public charge. Okay, so you're worried because of your son's high functional autism that and through your private insurance that they'll find that he may be a public charge. I would need to ask more about this, but if you're paying for private health insurance, it doesn't seem like you would be affected by this. Also, I would like to add, so you, Norma, did you file, well, I guess there's no adjustment of status because your husband's a resident. But he's becoming a citizen in a couple of months. So I would say you could, okay, this is where my confusion is, because if he becomes a citizen before October 15th, then you could file for the adjustment of status before that and qualify for the adjustment of status if you're in the United States. And that way you would be subject to the public charge rules that exist now. but it's, you know, the new public charge policies are only affect the people who are filing October 15th or later for adjustment of status. So everyone who filed for adjustment of status before or is processing their immigrant visa abroad before that date is not going to be subject to this. But it sounds like only the I-130 was filed in your case, and that case is still pending. But I would need to know more about your son. There's certain grounds that wouldn't, certain benefits that wouldn't qualify, especially those under Disability Education Act. And so I don't think your son would have a problem, but I also would need to know more. And I think this is something that you, when it comes time to immigrate, you probably want to consult with an immigration attorney about that. And if you would like, that is certainly something I would be able to help with. That is within my practice. When the time comes to immigrate, you could schedule an appointment with me. My number is 310-803-3040. I'm going to post my link to schedule an appointment. I forgot to do that in the description after this video, but it's aboutlegal.com/appointment. Okay, so, and then I'm going to answer one more question before we finish here. Okay, this person was the victim of a crime when he lived in the U.S., but now he doesn't live in the U.S. Can he still file for a U visa? Okay, so yes, you can still file for U visa from outside of the U.S., but the key here is that you were a victim of a crime that occurred inside the U.S. If you were a victim of a crime in another country, that's not going to count. So if you were a victim of a crime in the U.S. and you cooperated with law enforcement, you can still process the case from outside the U.S. You can still do it. There are long wait times, and I have a bunch of videos on that on YouTube as well. And I think some of them have been posted on this page. You know, but if you're willing, if you have nothing else and you're willing to wait those long waits, then yes, you may want to file for a U visa. If you were the victim of a crime here in the U.S. and you cooperated with law enforcement and you suffered harm as a result of that, you may qualify for a U visa. And you can still file outside of the U.S. So I think we're approaching our time here. I want to thank all of you for answering my questions, and for those of you who didn't, for asking me questions, and for those of you who didn't, thank you for watching and being here. I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited to be here for you every Tuesday live to answer your immigration questions. This is really exciting. And I really hope that you like this. And if you do and you want to join me in the future weeks, make sure you like and follow me on Facebook so you get notification when I come back every Tuesday at 6. I am here Thursdays at 6 in Spanish. And I do that live as well. And I also want to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here's where I do a lot of Q&A and I interact with you more. On YouTube, I do provide more in-depth videos on a lot of immigration topics that may interest you. So go ahead and subscribe there if you think this is something that may benefit you. I want to say thank you and goodbye to everyone until next week. Thank you so much. Bye.